gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Marvel Champions, the card game, the Venom Hero Pack. Now, spoiler alert, we're actually filming 2 reviews back to back because we've got the Mad Titan Shadow set up in front of us. We'll be starting that campaign shortly, and we're going to be playing at least to get a feel for these 2 characters before we move on to the new ones that are included in that campaign box, Venom and Drax. So we're starting with Venom. It is published by Fantasy Flight Games and designed by Michael Boggs and Caleb Grace. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
So it is a cooperative game that is intended for ages 14 and above. It's for 1 to 4 players and plays in about 60 minutes. That is if you're playing with 2 players. The more players you add to the game, the longer it gets. Now, we were reviewing specifically Venom, as I mentioned, so this hero pack will add the aforementioned character to the game. Now, there have been a lot of versions of Venom over the years. He was included as part of the Guardians of the Galaxy set. This is the Flash Thompson version of the character. So what you will be doing is using the power of the symbiote to hold a whole lot of weapons and shoot a lot of enemies while you work on defeating those enemies while managing the threat that is building up on their dastardly scheme as they plot to take over the galaxy, snap everyone out of existence with the Infinity Stones. You know, depends on whatever situation your hero finds themselves in at the time. So, what do we need to do now, Julie? Grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend. Oops.
We're going to take it to the table one more time.
One more time. I really am looking forward to this. Now let's take a look at the components for the Venom Hero Pack for Marvel Champions, the card game. So we have the rules and an overview of the Venom Hero Pack, explanation as to why he's got the justice aspect. Now this is the Flash Thompson version of Venom, so justice kind of does work. So you can see we've got the nice art for the character on the back. Here is our Venom Hero card. You get to control 1 additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword. And we've got the symbiotic bond resource. You can take 1 damage to generate a wild resource. And then Flash Thompson, you can control 1 additional upgrade card, just like his Venom side. Armed and ready means during setup, you discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard a weapon upgrade. Then you get to add it to your hand. We'll start by taking a look at the Venom cards. Behind enemy lines, you get a hero action of Thwart. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. If you paid for this card using only science resources, you get to confuse an enemy. I like that. Grasping Tendrils. You can use this on defense when the villain initiates an attack against you. You can cancel the attack. If you use punch resources, you may stun the enemy. So the ability to do wild resources and things like that is going to be very key for the game. Locked and loaded, search your deck for a weapon upgrade, add it to your hand. You get to shuffle your deck, so it's not like you're going through stuff. Run and gun lets you ready Venom and all of his weapons. That could be really good to do multiple times, depending on what you have out. Hero action, deal 5 damage to an enemy. If you paid for this card using only energy resources, you gain overkill. Project Rebirth 2.0. You may choose to either draw a card or heal 3 damage from Flash Thompson as an alter ego action. That's going to be important. Looks like we got Venom's main gun here. All of his upgrades are restricted. So you may deal 2 damage to an enemy, choose a player, deal 1 damage to each minion engaged with that player, or remove 2 threat from a scheme. That's what you can do with the multi-gun. You've got your Spider Sense, which is thematic. So when the villain initiates an attack against you, you get to draw a card. Venom's got a pistol. So it's restricted, but when you use one of Venom's basic powers, exhaust Venom's pistol to get +1 to the power, so it could even be Thwart. It looks like you could even do it for defense, which I think is pretty cool as well. And those are all of the Venom-specific cards. We'll take a look at these right now as well. So you've got the Struggle for Control, which is the Obligation. The side scheme is the Clintar Frenzy. And then you've got different minions that come into play, which are the Enraged Symbiotes. So, have to put them in play against you, and there are quite a few of them when they're drawn, so try to avoid getting that into the deck if you can. And we've got the Justice aspect cards with Jack Flag. After he thwarts, you get to place 1 ammo counter on him. You can then exhaust him to deal 2 damage to an enemy, which I think is pretty cool. Scare Tactic, you get to deal 3 damage to a confused enemy. making an entrance. When your hero makes a basic thwart, it gets +2 thwart for that thwart. After the thwart ends, your hero removed all the threat from his scheme that way. So if you cleared all the threat, you get to heal 2 damage from your hero. Power of Justice is fairly standard. Then we get the Sonic Rifle. It's got 2 charge counters. It's also restricted. You can exhaust it to remove a charge counter and confuse an enemy. If the enemy is already confused, you will then deal 3 damage to them. And you've got our basic cards. Here we got Star-Lord. So all his attacks have range. And after Star-Lord enters play, you have to take a face-down counter card. Standard cards with Energy, Genius, and Strength. Resourceful, you can discard Resourceful to generate a wild resource. So pretty good cards to put into play to save for when you need a specific resource type, which makes sense with Venom. Side holster, you can control 1 additional weapon upgrade that has a restricted keyword, so you're definitely going to want to get that into play. You can also get the Plasma Pistol. So exhaust Plasma Pistol and remove 1 charge counter from it to deal 1 damage to an enemy. It comes into play with 3 charge counters. So these are all the cards that come for Venom. We do get some other cards that are, of course, after the stop, which also has Venom's deck list on the back. So here you've got the Fusillade Hero Action, exhaust a weapon upgrade you control and deal 5 damage to an enemy. Welcome aboard. Reduce the resource cost of the next ally played this phase by 2, and that's only if your identity has a Guardian trait. Shake it off. After a Guardian character takes any amount of damage from an attack, give that character a tough status card. That can definitely be very useful. And Crew Quarters, play under any player's control, exhaust Crew Quarters to heal 1 damage from an alter ego, which can definitely be fairly useful. So there you have it. You've now seen all the components for Venom. We've taken a look at Drax. Now keep it right here, as Julie and I are going to come back at you with our review for Drax and Venom as we finish out this Guardians phase of Marvel Champions. So what did you think of the Venom Hero Pack expansion for the game? We played a lot of different heroes over the years. Yeah, it's been a few years since this has been out.
Wow.
And yeah, what'd you think?
I'm going to come out right away and say I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite. I did enjoy it. I think I said recently, I think they keep getting better and better and better. Because every time I play a new character, with just a few exceptions, and we don't have to go back on them right now.
Yeah, you can hear our thoughts on Galaxy's Most Wanted if you would like. That'll probably actually be the video that we'll link at the end.
However, well, there's also, Captain. Ms. Marvel.
That was a long time ago, though.
Yeah. So, anyways, they kept getting better and better. This one, I don't think I would. This would be the first character I would pick if we were, not playing for review purposes and we're picking our characters. I did enjoy it, but I didn't seem to have as much fun with it as you did. Now, when I saw it for the first time when you played it, I was playing Drax, and we'll talk about Drax in another video. But you were having so much fun with so many cards, to my not very many cards. Anyways, but you kept seeming to pull off these combos that when I played didn't really happen for me. And that's part of Marvel Champions, right? It is a deck game, a card game. So you're going to have the luck of the draw of cards that don't always play in your favor.
You need the heart of the cards.
And it didn't really work in my favor. Now I can see how this can be fun and he can work because I've seen you do it. But I didn't love playing them.
Well, you pulled a lot of good cards still. Like Venom has a lot of his own weapons and pistols that are specifically named for Venom. So when you get those out, they do a fair bit of damage and really boost his stats. So you ended up getting those, but you didn't get the 2 big upgrades, which I got and made a huge difference, which is a Project Rebirth 2.0, which essentially gives you a ton of healing power, like a ridiculous amount. I'm not sure they tested it well enough when they thought about designing it and putting it into the game. And I also got the Spider Sense, which let me draw a card whenever the villain attacked me, meaning I had a great reason to always be in hero form and get attacked, and a great way of dealing with the damage. When I had too much damage, I was able to essentially flip into the alter ego form, heal 3, and then at the start of my turn, heal 3 and go back into hero form, meaning I was able to just soak up 6 damage rather easily. Also, I wanted to get attacked, and Venom has some cards that actually straight up cancel enemies' attacks and even like stun them, confuse them, and then you've got all your weapons.
So I don't know,
really cool.
maybe you played that ultimate version of Venom.
Not the ultimate version, but I would say that if we're going to use some card game turns, I really started with like the nuts. I had the best starting hand that you could really ask for. Getting those 2 cards out at the beginning of the game. I think the only thing I didn't get was Venom's multi-gun, which you had, and if I'd started with that, it would have been just completely nuts.
Yes, I mean, it definitely looks like he can do damage, and he's up there fighting the much stronger villains that you now fight with the different expansions that have come to the game. I'm just not sure he would be my favorite style of play anyways. I think there might be other characters that I enjoy playing more than I would enjoy playing him.
Well, when you played Rocket, which is another weapon-based equipment character, he wasn't really your favorite. You seemed to have a lot more fun with Groot than Rocket. When you saw the characters, you seemed to be like, I want to play Rocket, and then you're like, it's not as much fun for me.
Yeah, but even going back, I think there are other characters that, I just had more fun playing.
Yes, like Thor.
Yes.
And specifically, we're in the Mad Titan Shadow. We were playing the scenario, a little bit of a spoiler, and we were both kind of like, man, Thor would be great here because he would just be smashing away.
So, I mean, I don't dislike him. I think he's just not my favorite style of play.
No, and he does have some weaknesses. Like, without Project Rebirth 2.0, the character is a little bit more limited. Not all of the weapons that come with his pre-made decks, and for those of you that are just watching one of our reviews for the first time, we always review the pre-made decks so that people know what they're getting in the box. We don't do any deck building for the review purposes. And so those, just like the 2 pistols I got, they were cool, but I ran out of ammo. His sonic gun can be very neat, especially when chained together with some of the other damage attacks that he can do with that. I think it was the scared one. I'm drawing a blank on the name of it right now. But it's very cheap and does 3 damage, and you were able to chain some nice combos together with that card. I didn't even get to use it, and I kind of felt that his the sonic gun was not nearly as effective as I thought it would be. It was still very good. It was fun to be able to confuse him and then straight up go into my alter ego form and then heal, and go back. So there's a lot of kind of broken things you can do with Venom. If you plan it out really well using the stun guns, you could almost just kind of lock the enemy down and just keep nailing them, or at least have them skip one of every other turn if you play it right. So lots of potential though, but I think he's very dependent on the cards and the upgrades to be really strong. Other than that, I think he falls in like a solid, he's like a mid-tier character otherwise. Right combos, he's definitely up at the top. Otherwise, I think he's just as good as everyone else. A lot of fun.
Which, if I go straight to my rating, is why I give him a 7.
And I'm going to give him a little bit of a higher rating. I'm going to give him an 8. I think he's a lot of fun. I think that people that love Spider-Man and love the idea of playing Venom will really enjoy this version of the character. I'm happy that they put the Flash Thompson version of the character because he's something very different than what you would expect for Venom. He's also the current version of Venom. It would have been fun to see Eddie Brock's anti-hero version, or, him show up as a villain maybe later on. But those versions, they resemble a lot more Spider-Man, where this Venom feels a lot more distinct, so it makes him a much better addition to the game in my opinion. And it kind of makes sense since they made the announcement recently that you're going to be having sort of that Spider-Verse expansion with Ghost Spider, Miles Morales Spider-Man. You don't want to have too many Spider-Man all at the same time. So I don't think there's anything more that we want to add to this. He's got some positives, got some negatives. You got our ratings. What time is it now, Julie?
Well, it's time to remind everybody to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing as Venom, make sure to check out all those feeds. You'll also see some pictures of Mad Titan Shadow and Drax when those get posted as well. And down below in the video description, you will also have a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click that link. Make sure that you check out their store because they're awesome, as I already said, because you're going to get 10% off your next purchase, and it's a great way for you to support the channel because a portion of that purchase is returned to us. Then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie will be our review of Marvel Champions last campaign expansion, the Galaxy's Most Wanted. So we're almost through this Guardians of the Galaxy phase. Just a few more videos to go. And now we're going to
grab our drink,
grab our best friend,
And we're going to keep playing games.
Keep playing games. It's been a few years, and this one still hits the table regularly, so don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.